Hello guys, Thick and Drive here, back with another video. Okay guys, it's been maybe 6 days since I made a video, so yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so today it's a lighter topic, right? For those who don't know, I'm a rugby fan, serious rugby fan. So I just want to talk about yesterday's game, um, the Springboks versus the Wallabies, right? And why I'm so happy that we lost that game, believe it or not, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys are like already pissed off and angry, like what the hell? I'll justify it. Listen to this, right? So I've got some notes like normal, right? So please don't mind when I look down. That's just me reading. The thing is, I don't want to forget anything, you see. So let's start here. Um, the reason why it's a good thing that the Springboks lost that game, right? Firstly, which is probably the more obvious one, is that suddenly there's now a fire on the backsides of the Springboks again, right? Human nature is that when you've been at the top for as long as the Boks have been, a bit of complacency will come in. And remember, um, to some degree, we aren't used to being at the top for as long as we've been on top, right? So I'm not surprised, right, that a bit of complacency is coming. But something like what happened yesterday is exactly what's needed. You understand? To put the guys back into the right gear, the right mindset, right? Because it hurt yesterday. It hurt big time, right? People like Scott Robinson, the real G's of rugby, that really understand that what happened yesterday to the Boks, right? For the teams that want to beat the Boks this year, they really know and understand that what happened yesterday is not good for them, because they know now that they will be meeting a focused Springboks suddenly, a Springboks that has something to prove again. From what I hear, we got kicked from number 1 to number 3. You see, just like that. So we are in the exact position that makes Springbok rugby perform at its best. I won't say we're underdogs, obviously not, but we are in a position where we need to prove ourselves again. And there's nothing the Boks do better than proving themselves, you see. So I'm happy that we are in this position, right? Because now we're going to see the best again coming out of our players. Because let's be honest, the Italy game and the Georgia game, tier 2 teams, right? And even though we played those tier 2 teams, to be on, and even though we won with such big scores, but even Rassi said it, and even some of the other players in the post-match interviews, we didn't play as well as we could have played. And if you were really honest with yourself and took the emotions out of it, you'll realize, and if you watch those games again by some chance, you probably won't, but if you try to remember back, those weren't the best performances. Those weren't the performances that we would have liked to get against those type of teams, you see. It's less about the Italians and the Georgians having stopped us from performing better. It's more about the fact that we were our worst enemy, right, in those games. And it seems like we didn't learn, it didn't sink in. Maybe let me put it that way. The lesson may have been highlighted by the coaches, right, or the players themselves may have seen it, but it didn't sink in to the players. But this loss against the Wallabies is going to make it sink in. For example, this whole thing of us just blowing a team away for the first 20 minutes, but then a team comes back. You see, it's the second time, if not the third time, that it's happened this season already. So clearly it didn't sink in. But yesterday, trust me, it will have sunk in. You won't see that this year again. You will not see a Springbok team perform like that this year again. Like blow a team away in the first whatever, and then let the team sneak back. You see, that won't happen. So right, that's the first thing, guys. Then the second thing is this, which is for me the best thing. Let's talk about this. The Springboks are trying new things, guys. They are trying new things. Gone are the days where the Springboks use the same type of game plan every 4 year cycle and execute it brilliantly, and that game plan is good enough to make them to put them in the top four in the world and allow them to potentially win a World Cup during World Cup year. Now we are trendsetters in this thing. Basically, we are in the position that the All Blacks have historically been in. We are innovating, we are trend setting, and we are the ones basically that everyone else wants to be like, the ones that everyone else is chasing, right? We are inventing new things in the game, right? There's a lot of hate that we're getting for it, by the way. That Matt Williams guy from Australia, there's a lot of people who don't like us being in that position. They prefer us to just be what we've historically been because they think we are less of a threat when we are like that, which is ironically interesting which is ironically weird because I feel like that type of Springbok rugby dominates generally, but it is possible to stop, especially when the stakes are high, right? So hence the innovation being needed and so on. Brilliant by Rassie Erasmus. I love that. What comes with innovation? What comes with testing new things? What comes with trying new things? Temporary failure. That's what we saw yesterday. The Boks temporarily failed yesterday. Perfect. They tried something new, right? And they would have gotten a lot of data out of that. You see, those who like Elon Musk will understand. Like when Elon Musk sends that star, what is it? That star plane of his, right? Them testing. They send the thing up there, it blows up. It's a temporary failure because it didn't do what they wanted it to do, but they got so much data out of it. Then they take that data and then you use that data to improve and get better. You see? So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Rassie knows or knew that it's a big risk, that there's a big chance that this will happen, right? He is also surprised, but at the same time, he isn't surprised, if that makes sense, right? You learn more about yourself when you lose, guys. More room to improve and grow. So for me, it's beautiful. It's a sign that we're trying new things. Let's be honest. If the Boks were playing the same rugby that made them win the World Cup, for example, they would have beat Australia yesterday. We all know that, right? We all know that, basically. It might have been a tighter game because the Australians brought physicality as well yesterday, right? But they were never going to beat us at our physical type of game. The only reason that they beat us yesterday is because we played wallabies rugby and they played Springbok rugby. And Springbok rugby always wins against wallaby type of rugby. When Springbok type of rugby is serious about winning, and the Australians were serious yesterday, when that type of rugby is serious, it beats All Black rugby, it beats Irish rugby, it beats wallaby type of rugby. You understand? Rugby is a physical sport, boys. And as long as that's the case, when Springbok rugby, regardless of the team that's playing it, is serious, in my opinion, it always wins, especially at tournaments like a World Cup. Right. So I'm happy that we're trying new things. I'm okay with the fact that we temporarily lost the game. That's fine. We're learning. Our guys are learning. Plus, on top of that, now we've got pain. We've got pain. We've got that burn. It hurting. You understand? That's a good thing. Because I was worried. Where are we going to get that from? Where are we going to get that pain? Right? Now, you think about it. Scott Robinson is really worried about the Eden Park game now. Really worried. Right? Because the Boks will not want to lose anything in New Zealand now. You see? And think about it. If they want to win the rugby championship, they have to win in New Zealand twice. Now. Right? Okay. Anyway, there's that, guys. Then I think I touched on it already somewhat. I would much rather us lose trying new things than win slightly with the old stuff that we're comfortable with. And then over time, leading to the next World Cup, everyone catches up. And then now it's a chance. We win the World Cup by chance, or we don't even win it because they figured us out now. You see what I'm saying? So the mere fact that we are trying new things, right, means we're innovating and we are ahead, right, and they are chasing, right, and as long as we're trying these new things, there's a possibility of us temporarily failing. You see, but we're learning fast, as the Springboks always do, right, or the best teams always do as well. You see, so I'm good with that. Right. And then now I just want to talk about this quickly. Listen to this logic, right? The New Zealand has won 3 World Cups. We've won 4 World Cups. New Zealand won their last 2 World Cups in 2011 and in 2015, right? We all know what happened in 2011, right? South Africa's team was arguably the better team if compared to New Zealand when Peter de Villiers was still coaching. We had beat them twice in 2009 in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. So and plus we had the players from the successful Bulls team, all those legends, right? All of that. But New Zealand won. All right. And also remember, the World Cup was in New Zealand. That's the other big thing to remember, right? That's just a side note. New Zealand has won the World Cup twice while it's in New Zealand, right? We've won it once while it's in South Africa. All the other 3 times it was outside of South Africa. Anyway, side note. So, what's my point? Historically, as I said earlier, New Zealand has been the team that that normally, how can I put this? That normally innovates in the game of rugby, right? As we all know. But what has been their problem? Their problem has been that leading up to a World Cup, right? They win most of their games, meaning they don't temporarily fail. They don't lose historically, right? Which is a bit worrying these days because they are actually losing games. And you'll learn now why I'm actually worried about that, right? Historically they didn't lose that much leading up to a World Cup, which means they didn't temporarily fail, which means it was hard for them to have the learnings that come from failure. It was hard for them to have the pain that's required for you to be able to win a World Cup when that year finally comes. The pain that you're carrying from all the previous years where you've been catching a loss here and there. You see, yet you think you're better than that, but you still catch a loss here and there. Pain comes from that, and you can lean and you can leverage that pain in a World Cup tournament when the stakes are high. Teams like South Africa has always had that advantage. I can argue and say England has always had that advantage. That's why England gets so far in a World Cup as well, right? But then during the World Cup, New Zealand always came out, like lost out, right? Off in the World Cup simply because of not having that fire in them that comes from losing games leading to the World Cup. And most importantly, the fact that by the time the World Cup is there, teams have studied them because they're playing the same type of game plan, or even if they are innovating, right? Their innovations are not so different from their original game plan. So it's a slight improvement, if that makes sense. So teams are able to catch up to them, right? Come the World Cup here. Then now, because New Zealand is good as well, they'll always be in with a chance, right? It becomes a chance thing, whether they win it or not. You see? So that's why I think New Zealand historically hasn't done that well at World Cups. You understand? In 2015, New Zealand was the best team in the world. Can't fight it that they won the World Cup. They were the best team in the world, right? I have no issues with that. But in 2011, I can argue and say that was the beginnings of that 2015 team, and the South African team was better than them, and we just got out of because of that referee thing against Australia, right? I'll mention it, but yeah, that's how I see it there. So South Africa losing now leading up to the World Cup again for me is a good thing. New Zealand has lost games now as well, leading up to the World Cup. So you see now they are also going to start benefiting, because New Zealand is going to lose, right? They are going to lose to South Africa. They might lose to the Wallabies, you never know. But they might lose to Argentina next week, you never know. But definitely they're going to lose to South Africa. If they play Ireland or France again, they're definitely going to lose to them again, leading to the World Cup. You see, so even they are going to start reaping the benefits of temporary failure, which makes them dangerous as well. But I'm happy that we also have that, and we know how to manage that the best in the world. No team is better than us at managing this thing of temporarily failing, and then using that as fuel for the next game or for the next tournament or whatever that is. You understand? So that's beautiful. So yeah, I know, guys. It's a proper thing. I'm sure a few months from now we'll get to see videos of how the locker room was after yesterday's game, and the harsh words that were said there, right? Because the harsh words will always be said, right? But yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. As I said, I much rather have the Boks start testing new things now, right? And being uncomfortable now than trying to be uncomfortable at the World Cup, because now we've been doing what's comfortable and we see that it's not good enough. Now we're forced to try new things, either leading up to the World Cup, like that year before the World Cup, or at the World Cup itself, you understand? So we need to try something new so that we can have enough runway to get good at it, to get brilliant at it, so that they don't have enough time to learn it and try to stop it, you see. Anyway, guys, remember, don't live vicariously through sport. The Springboks are winners. Be a winner for South Africa as a South African, right? Cheers, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and especially commenting, guys. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Yeah, cheers, guys.